امين. اللهم صل على محمد سيد المرسلين وخاتم النبيين وحجة رب العالمين، المنتجب في الميثاق، المصطفى في الضلال، المطهر من كل آفة، البريء من كل عيب، المؤمل للنجاة، المرتجى للشفاعة، المفوض إليه دين الله. ثم أفضل الصلاة والسلام على حبيبته وابنته فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، وعلى ابن عمه أمير المؤمنين وقائد الغر المحجلين أسد الله الغالب علي بن أبي طالب، وعلى ولديه سيد شباب أهل الجنة الإمام الحسن المسموم وإمام الحسين الشهيد المظلوم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخيه أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين وعلى أخته العقيلة زينب ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Please recite a loud salawat for the love of al-Banin. From dawn of time, when Allah Azza wa Jal created Adam, there was a struggle, a collision between two forces. Between the dark side, the evil, and the good side, that is good. It's always been like that. Evil, that it's dark, it's been at war with what is good. You find in history there are many people that were good fighting the evil. And many times, and most of the times, whether the evil, even if they wins the war or the battle, in the end of it, what is good triumpheth, and what is good wins the war. Because haq, what is good, stays until the day of judgment. What is good stays until that day. Until the day of judgment, we can see that the haq grows and grows and grows. That's why you see, even though the occasion, the event of Ashura took place in a long, long time ago in a desert where no one heard of that desert before. A small tribe used to live in that desert by the name of Bani Asad. But after the event of Ashura, you see that history has been written that the day of Ashura will remain one of the most important days in Islamic calendar. That we always come and we commemorate the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. We do come here, speak about Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his companions and his progeny, the progeny of Prophet عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام, and we speak about the struggle between what is good, that he was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's grandson, Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdal as-salat was-salam, and what was bad, that was Bani Umayyah and Yazid, the tyrants. With a small army of 72, fighting a very, very large army of 30,000 plus of enemy combatants. They were all there for one reason only: to erase Hussein and his family from the face of earth. But after the war of Karbala, after the day of Ashura, when you see the traditions of what happened after that day. It is a sad day where Imam al-Hussein, the son of Fatima al-Zahra, was killed thirsty. Where his companions were slaughtered right in front of him. Even his son, Ali al-Akbar, was killed. Even his son, Ali al-Azhar, a 6-month-old, was killed right in front of his eyes. But Imam al-Hussein stood strong. Imam al-Hussein stood firm, and he never took one step back. What do we gather from that day? After that day, we find out when Imam al-Sajjad, for example, was asked, did you lose or win the war? Our fourth Imam was in chains, and he was taken from street to street. When he was asked this question, did you lose or win the war? Imam told the individual that was asking that question, wait until the time of the adhan. When the adhan is being recited, I will tell you who won. So it was the time of adhan, Allahu Akbar 2, where it says, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Imam al-Sajjad looked at that individual and he said to that individual, we won the war because you can still hear the name of our grandfather, Prophet Muhammad. We won the war because we still hear the adhan. We still see the people praying. Because the way of Bani Umayyah was to wipe out what it was good. After Muawiyah won the war of Siffin, after the whole collision between him and Imam Ali, Muawiyah went on top of the pulpit and he said, look, I didn't fight you lot. I didn't fight to make you pray or fast or pay the zakat. None of those are important for me. The only reason I fought was to become the leader on you. لَأَتَرَأَّسَ عَلَيْكُمْ. That was his word. But you see, the day of Ashura until this day, it doesn't become smaller, that event. It becomes bigger. The gatherings becomes more and more. And who did say that? Who said about the gatherings will become more and more? That was the Prophet himself. He said, إِنَّ لِقَتْلِ الْحُسَيْنِ حَرَارَ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ لَا تَبْرَدُ أَبَدًا. For the killing of Imam al-Hussein, there is a heat in the heart of the mu'mineen that will not cool down ever until the day of judgment. It will not cool down. The event will gather around thousands of people, millions of people that gather around in many Husayniyas around the world, and they sit down and they cry and they talk about that day. But what do we gather from that day? What do we gain from that day? What we gain is we find role models of this day. For your age, you find a person like Qasim ibn al-Hasan. Qasim ibn al-Hasan was a teenager. At the age of 13, when Imam al-Hussein asked him on the night of Ashura, how do you find death? كيف الموت عندك? He said to his uncle, في نصرتك أحلى من العسل. Helping you, Abu Abdullah, or uncle, and fighting for the cause of you, Abu Abdullah, it's sweeter than honey. Have you seen how sweet honey is? Death was for him was sweeter than honey. That's why it was the words of Qasim ibn al-Hasan. You come to another person like Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar, when they entered Karbala, and they were entering the Karbala, he saw his father, Imam al-Hussein, worried. He asked his father, what is making you worried? He said, because we are going to our death. He said, oh Abata, oh father, aren't we on the right haqq, on the right path? He said, yes. He said, so it doesn't matter if death comes to us or we go to death. Doesn't make any difference. Those are some of the role models. Now go to the companions of Abu Abdullah. And this is subsequent nas, we will discuss the companions. How can we learn from the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, their virtues and the characteristics to become the right companions of Imam al-Mahdi? Ajallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif. How can we become like them? For our Imam. How can we become like Habib ibn Mudahir? How can we become like Muslim ibn Aqil? How can we become like Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi? That we change our course, we change our path to the right path. That when Imam al-Mahdi appears, we are one of his companions, not his enemy, but his companion. His friend, not his foe. Fighting beside him, not against him. And we learn that from the companions of Abdullah al-Hussein. Because if you go see all other companions from the prophets or imams, none of them were loyal like the companions of Imam al-Hussein. And there was certain death in front of them. Certain death. Imam al-Hussein told them on the night of Ashura, he said, look, tomorrow everyone and every single one of you will be slaughtered. If you want to go, go. I take away the bay'ah, the allegiance from you. You are free to go. One of them stood and he said, Ya Aba Abdullah, if they kill me and they burn me and then Allah brings me back to life and they do that to me again and again for 70 times, I will not take one step back from you. Not one step back from helping you, Aba Abdullah. It doesn't matter because life will end eventually. But for you, Aba Abdullah, we become immortals. And they did become immortals. After 1,176 years, we gather around talking about them. How many people gather around for World War I, World War II? You know, the memorials of World War I or World War II, they speak for 10 nights, or even one night, they speak about that horrendous war where millions of people lost their lives. How many people do that? Not many. But you come to the event of Ashura every year, and sometimes for some people around the year, all 365 days they gather around, they speak about that event, they gather from that event, they gain from that event many, many, many lessons. It can be derived from that event, you can learn from that, and many companions you can learn to become one of their students, as one of their, that can become you one of your role models. And inshallah for the subsequent nights we'll talk about that. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he talked about Imam al-Hussein in many occasions. In one tradition is said that Rasulullah said about Imam al-Hussein, Husaynun minni wa ana min Hussein. Hussein is from me and I am from Hussein. He is my grandson and he is from me, but I am also from him. Husaynun minni wa ana min Hussein. Inna al-Husayn misbahul huda wa safinatul najah. That's very important. That he says, Inna al-Husayn misbahul huda. He's the light of guidance. And Hussein is the only one, the light of guidance. That doesn't mean that all other imams are not, but Hussein, his path is a bigger path. Who said that? Imam al-Sadiq. He said, Kulluna sufunun najat. We are all arcs of salvation. ولكن سفينة الحسين سفينة جدي الحسين أوسع وأسرع في لجج البحار. But the ark of my father, my grandfather Hussein, the ark of salvation of my grandfather Imam al-Hussein is bigger and faster in the tides of oceans. So you can get on that big ark of salvation. Inna al-Hussein masbahul huda wa safinatul najat. That you learn from him how to become a better person. A sinner can learn and can have a role model like Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. How? Hurr, for a moment, thought to himself, for a moment, that what am I doing? I'm killing the son of the Prophet, and what do I end up? That one moment of thinking changed the course of Hurr. That's why when you go to Karbala, you visit his shrine, you say, Assalamu alayka ya Hurr. You do not curse him because he became the companion of Abdullah. For a moment, أخير نفسي بين الجنة والنار. I can see myself between two paths, between two roads. That one is Jannah, heaven, and one is hellfire. And I will not choose anything on top of the Jannah. That is heaven, paradise. And who is that paradise? Who does he have to help? That is Imam al-Hussein. And he did to Abu Abdullah, and he asked forgiveness, and he repented. So Hur is a role model for the sinners. Even if you sin, there is a way to go back. There is a way to become a better person. To think of perfecting your life. So you find a person like Hur. You find people that had some kind of event with Imam al-Hussein in the day of Ashura. Every single one of them is a role model for us. Not just Imam al-Hussein, because Imam al-Hussein is a son. If you want to think of that Imam al-Hussein is a sun. And when the sun shines, you cannot see the stars. But what I want to do in this night is I want to see the stars. And those stars are the companions. The sun is there. It's always shining. And that is Imam al-Hussein. But let's think about the stars. Let's think about the companions. Of what these people wanted. There was no worldly desires. There was nothing to gain from that as worldly desires. There was no becoming governors of any cities if they fought for Imam al-Hussein, or gain any wealth. No, there wasn't nothing like that, because they knew this is certain death. So these people are really the rightful role models for us living in the Western countries. How? Because when you see them, they lived in a life where bid'ah was arised, and people were using bid'ah and changing the sunnah. They were changing the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were following the bid'ah. And this is why Imam al-Hussein wrote to the people of Basra. He said to them, "Inna al-bid'ata uhiyat, was-sunnata umitat." This is what the Bani Umayyah are doing. They are killing the sunnah of Rasulullah, changing the course of the Islam, and they're bringing me new bid'ahs that has nothing to do with the religion of Islam. And I sacrificed myself to bring back the right Islam. I sacrificed myself to bring back the right Islam, the Islam that Rasulullah preached. Rasulullah preached the Islam. He built the Islam, that it was there, and some people tried to demolish that Islam, and Imam al-Hussein came and he rebuilt that Islam in such a way you cannot demolish it. You cannot destroy it anymore. It's already there. Because Hussein gave his blood. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So it is a blessing to gather around in these occasions. It is a blessing to know and embrace the traditions of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salati was salam. So now the companions of Abdullah. Many of these companions, 72 or 73, and if you want to count Muslim Aqil, you could be before the event of Ashura, there were many that were killed in Kufa preaching the way of Islam, as one of them Muslim Aqil, the cousin of Imam al-Hussein. He was sent to Kufa to get the allegiance of the Kufans. And the tradition says 18,000 people, they pledge allegiance to Imam al-Hussein. And after Ibn Ziyad became the governor of Kufa, you find that Muslim Aqil didn't change his course. Muslim Aqil was still firm. He was still strong. And he never changed it. You paying attention? He never changed it, Muslim Aqil. To the last moments. To the last moments he didn't change that course. Even when he was taken up on the roof for him to be killed, he asked, where is the Qibla? And he prayed 2 rak'ah. And then he said his salam to Imam al-Hussein, Assalamu alayka ba Abdullah. Those are some companions that were killed before the event of Karbala, the event of Ashura. And there are some after the event of Ashura. There were some companions that came afterwards. They couldn't be in the day of Ashura. They couldn't gather around in that day because they were either imprisoned or they didn't have the knowledge. So afterward they became to themselves, how could I not help the son of Prophet Muhammad عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على محمد صل على محمد وآل محمد. There is a lot of hadith. There is a lot of hadith that we want to examine this night about the virtues of Imam al-Hussein عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام and his companions. إني لا أعرف أصحابا أوفى من أصحابي. Now we come to the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example. Some of the so-called companions, Rasulullah wasn't even buried. They were thinking how to take their leadership and they become the caliphs. Those are the companions of Rasulullah. Coming to companions of Imam Ali عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام, he said what they did in Siffin. Come to the companions of Imam al-Hasan عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام, the second Imam. When you see these people, not only they didn't help Imam al-Hasan, they sold Imam al-Hasan. One of them sold Imam al-Hasan for 1 million dirham. And he joined Muawiyah. Going to the companions of the prophets, for example, to the Prophet Musa. Prophet Musa عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام, you find that his companions, they told him, go you and your God, fight. We will be sitting here. When there you are victorious, we will come there and we will dine with you. And we get the ghanima. They were the companions of Musa. Going to the companions of Isa. Companions of Isa, one of them betrayed Isa for some amount of money. Betrayed Isa. So you see, every one of them, those leaders, their companions, weren't that firm with their leader. They were that strong with their leader. And inshallah, on the subsequent night, we'll talk about how firm and strong the companions of Imam al-Hussein عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام were, and how can we learn from the lessons and their ethics to become the rightful companions of Imam al-Mahdi عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.